The Verdict with World Pools.
Hello everybody, welcome to this week's edition of The Verdict. We have 6 races that are very much worthy of data interrogation this week. We will take you from Hamilton to Newmarket to Khani and finally to the Curragh. Lots to look at, and we are going to get underway at Hamilton Park last week with an interesting performance from Salal. Here are the winners on that day, starting with Rogue Supremacy, 6 score and Brielle. Times were pretty good, suggesting that the ground described as good to soft in places was just that, if not perhaps a little bit quicker. There's Salal, 143.7 over a mile and 68 yards. That compared to Individualism over the same trip, who was slower at 144.96. Jana's Journey and Seamaster completed the winners on the card. The Seamaster time the slowest. Let's have a look at the Race IQ time indexes and just see where Salal's time fits. And it's the best time of the day, comfortably, 9.2 out of 10 for this particular performance, with a meeting average of 7.3. And it's that meeting average that makes me think that the ground certainly wasn't good to soft at all on any part of the track. I think good at least, and maybe quickening up as the meeting went on. But let's have a look at Salal, 9.2, a very good time performance. And the data paints an interesting picture as far as this race is concerned. Salal from 5, beat English Oak from 4, and Rhythm Master from 3. And initially you can see where Salal is towards the 4, and English Oak has completely blown the start very steadily into stride in the early part of the race, taking 3.25 seconds to get to 20 miles an hour. Only the 6th fastest, so slowest in the race, and very much on the back foot thereafter. English Oak, look at that, it's 3.25 seconds compared to the break speed of the winner of 2.64. Much quicker into stride, Salal. Now, the data picture of this race is that it was strongly run, courtesy of Brave Emperor, who's gone clear at this stage, going through 3 very fast first furlongs. 12.51 and a 12.19 were fast furlongs early on, and then they got racing a long way out. Salal sat in 3rd place with the big white face and starts to get rolling a long way from home. The 4th furlong of 10.9 as they've just swung down the hill is a quick furlong rated as fast as against the Race IQ par, and then backed up by an 11.01. Now those 2 fast furlongs take place a long way from home. This race really got going at an early stage. The final 3 furlongs, these horses were getting steadily slower and tired up the hill. For example, Salal, who's hit the front now, 3rd last furlong, 11.44, then 12.28, then 13.45. So this race unfolded a long way out. They got tired, but Salal has got to the front and just kept going better than English Oak, who forfeited all that ground at the start but ran on quite well in the closing stages, with a faster furlong than Salal to conclude the race of 13.3. The winner 13.5, marginally eased down before the line, but I don't think that made much difference to the data. 25.66 English Oak to the last couple of furlongs, quicker than the winner, but the winner had already gone. Salal was away and gone by the time English Oak could get rolling. The 3rd, 4th and 5th furlongs crucial here. They quickened up down the hill, they tried to maintain that momentum up it and got very tired late on. Every horse recording slow final 2 furlongs against the Race IQ pars. Now this winner has got loads of speed, as you can see there. Look at that mid-race speed in the green. Furlongs 3, 4 and 5, a 10.9 in the 4th furlong. That's a long way from home with a hill to climb. 11.01 after that. It's a horse with loads and loads of toe. I'm not sure he wants to go up in trip, but he has got an entry in the Voltiger at York coming up. But I think really he'll be best kept to this sort of trip. Look how tired they get in the closing stages. Those are very slow final furlongs from the whole field. So the data picture is one of a strongly run race courtesy of Brave Emperor at the bottom of the screen, who went hard early on. Salal kicking a long way from home and then hanging on in the closing stages whilst tired up the hill. This is a nice horse, a very talented racehorse. He won in his previous start. Here, off a layoff, he's in again, and he's one to follow. Well, that's a really good performance from Salal at Hamilton. If he can have his effort delayed in future races, he'll be able to use his speed to much better effect. Let's turn our attentions to Newmarket last week. This was Friday night. Here are the winners on the card. And there was one outstanding performance. It came from Scoville in the 550, who was 0.82 under the Racing Post standard with a time of 1:36.58 over a mile. The other times were okay. True Test was visually reasonably impressive in the opening contest, but Scoville stands out as an outstanding performance on the clock, and that is backed up by the Race IQ Time Index score, which is over 9.1, as against the next best, which was 6.8 over 5 furlongs in the fourth contest. The going described as good to firm. I think it was a bit easier than that, giving that meeting average score of 4.7, but it didn't affect Scoville, who put up an outstanding time performance with that 9.1 out of 10 score. So we'll have a look at this race and see just how good this fellow was. From stall 5, beating Asian Journey from 3, and Versailles Prince came from stall 1. There was no hanging about for Richard Kingscott here. He was keen to get on with it. Now, his horse was not very fast into stride, third fastest to 20 miles an hour, 2.44 seconds, but thereafter Kingscott was determined to make it a gallop, and this horse rolled along hard on the bridle in front. He went 12.62 through the first furlong. That's allowing for a standing start, allowing a couple of seconds, and then 11.6 rated as fast as against the Race IQ, and then 11.19 his third furlong, very fast against par, and then he went an 11.18 after that to get him through 4 furlongs, and that spread-eagled the field. They just couldn't live with this early pace that Scoville showed. Now, thereafter, he gradually slows down in the contest. So it's a race of 2 halves, 4 quick furlongs, followed by him decelerating through the rest of the race. But all the damage is done in the first half of the race. Now he's done a par furlong of 11.39, and then he's slowing down. 11.57 thereafter, 11.73, and 13.3. So he's getting tired and he's slowing down, but he's destroyed them for speed in the early part of the race. His finishing speed percentage, 96.49. The par is 100.36. So, you know, he's well under the par. He's finishing slowly. Look at that, 13.3 the final furlong. But he's hardly being asked to do much late on. The race is in the bag. It's been in the bag for a long time. And this is really, really impressive from this horse. Only having his second career start. He won on debut, and he's absolutely bolted up, and he's killed them for speed in the early part of the contest. Asian Journey tried to go with him, couldn't live with him, and he just kept going best after setting that very fast early gallop. Bit like a dirt race, go hard early on, get out of the kickback, see if you can hang on. But I think he did a bit more than hang on. He kept going much better than his rivals late on. His 13.3, much better than the runner-up in the final furlong of 14.36. The third, 13.64. Every metric you look at, he was way better than his rivals. Half-brother to Solcombe, he'll stay a bit further, you'd have thought. Therefore, he'd probably get 1.25 miles. This was a mile. There's the race of 2 halves, colour-coded for you. See how fast it was early on. We highlighted that very fast 11.19, that fast 11.18. And then gradually, look at those numbers, he's gradually getting slower. After his 11.18, he's gone 11.39, a par for him through that furlong. And then 11.57, 73, 13.3, gradually getting slower. But those final furlongs are 25.02, way quicker than his rivals. He's a very exciting prospect. Timeform have given him a triple-digit speed figure for this effort, his second career start. And he's really exciting. He might just go under the radar a bit because he was 8-1 on to win that. Everyone thought he had to win, he was going to win. But the manner of his victory and the data that he produced there is most impressive. As I always say, it's not what you beat, it's how fast you run. And he ran very fast indeed. Well, from that outstanding time performance at Newmarket, we're going to go to a performance at Khani last Wednesday that really took the eye of many, and it was a boy named Susie who won the second race on the card there in a very slow time, 1:52.48, 12.18 outside the Racing Post standard. All of those times are pretty slow. The going described as soft to heavy in places. I think it was probably heavy ground overall looking at those times and looking at the Race IQ time index. And the boy named Susie does not come out particularly well. It might have been visually really impressive. A lot of people were talking about this horse afterwards, but 0.6 was the score out of 10. All of the other times on the card better. The average was 5. So it makes for interesting data analysis, this performance, because visually it looked really impressive. It caught the eye of many, and plenty of people when interviewed afterwards were effusive about this performance. A boy named Susie from stall number 3 beats Belmano from 1, Acclimatic from stall 5. There they are. There is a boy named Susie, a bit keen early on, and the first 3 are right up there. Now, the race that we had at Newmarket was a strongly run race in the slow finish. This is a slowly run race with a boy named Susie pulling hard and then a fast finish. So it's completely upside down from Newmarket. They've absolutely crawled here. Third fastest to 20 miles an hour for the winner, 3.05 seconds, but really wanted to get on with it thereafter. And now the pace is really steady. It's courtesy of Dial Me In, who's gone through really slow early fractions. The first 5 furlongs, 4 of them were rated as very slow against par. Let me just give you them for this leader. 14.11, 14.42, 14.1, a 16.45. No, we're not hurdling. This is a flat race. 16.45 is absolutely crawling as they go round that bend. The 16.29 in there as well. Look at that. They're absolutely crawling around this bend. So we have to be wary of what happens later in the race, because it's going to turn into a 3 furlong dash. A dash that is impressively won by a boy named Susie. 11.9, followed by 11.35, followed by 11.8. 3 very fast final furlongs from this horse, who outsprints his nearest pursuers comfortably and wins very nicely in the end. But we've got to be a little bit wary of this, given how the race unfolded, just given how steadily they went. Yes, he's sprinted well. He looks a very talented racehorse. He's got loads of speed. He quickened up miles better than his rivals. And he's a big, imposing individual as well. But you've got to be a little bit wary of this. His finishing speed percentage, get this, 118.76. Now that means he's 18.76% quicker in the last 2 furlongs than the rest of the race. That tells you more about the early part of the race than it does the end. And that the early part of the race was just a crawl where they could all save energy for a fast finish. Indeed, they were all over 112% in terms of their finishing speed percentages. So it's a race of 2 halves, nicely illustrated by this. Very slow early splits, 14.34, 14.28, 14.15, 16.29, and then those fast splits for every single horse going very fast against par in the final 3 furlongs. So all we've established is that this horse can sprint better than these rivals that he was up against on this occasion. A very nice individual. There could well be plenty more to come from this horse. Quite a big stride on him of 7.61 metres. But we need to see him do it in a race that is much more honestly run than the one that he encountered there. Bright prospect, yes. Interesting prospect, yes. Did we learn much there? Not particularly. We're going to stay in Ireland and go to the Curragh now for the Irish Oaks meeting last Saturday. Here are the winners and times. One outstanding time, it was Al Riffa, 3.99 under the Racing Post standard, but we don't have many races at that trip, so not much historical evidence, a little bit wary of that. 3 races for us to have a look at. New Zealand, who won the opener over 7 furlongs. True Love, who took the Railways Stakes, a rare filly to win that race at 2.35, and also Minnie Hawk, who won the Irish Oaks, backing up her win at Epsom. Here are the Race IQ time indexes. They're almost bang on par here. 5.6 for New Zealand, 4.9 for True Love, and 5.5 for MINNIE HAUK. The best time was Al Riffer at 6.4. The average 5.1. The going, I think, was probably good. Looking at those time indexes, it was described as good to yielding in places, but I suspect it was just good ground overall. Let's start with New Zealand then. And New Zealand came from stall 9. Isaac Newton was second from 14, and Action was third from stall 3. All three of these highlighted for you now coming from the Aidan O'Brien yard. There's a bit of a disadvantage for New Zealand from stall 9, according to the Race IQ draw bias. 0.3 of a length disadvantage historically coming from that stall over this trip on this ground. So he had to overcome that, and he did so by being able to creep forward in his own time. He was only 7th fastest to 20 miles an hour, but nobody wanted to go on. And Ryan Moore, therefore, was able to be in front by the 5 furlong pole. And this big, strong, rangy type was able then to bowl along in front under Ryan. And Ryan was able to just go as fast as he wanted, getting a bit of a breather through the 3rd and 4th furlong. 3rd furlong, 12.46. 4th furlong, 12.42. It's not going that hard, Ryan. His horse is just a bit behind the bridle as well. And then he begins to wind it up through the 5th furlong at 11.58, and then a fast finish for 11.07 and 12 seconds flat, both fast furlongs from New Zealand in the closing couple of furlongs. There's only 11.07 that he's doing now, and he backs it up with a 12. In behind, you've got Action, not got much running room in the straight, the big white face, but gets going late and runs on really well, and so does the runner-up, Isaac Newton, to the outside of the field. Both of them going 11.82 in the final furlong, both of them getting to New Zealand late on, who could only run that 12 seconds, and he was getting caught rapidly by those two, but he held on in the end, and I think he benefited from just a good ride from Ryan Moore. And he's an interesting horse because look at his maximum stride length, 8.23 metres. Not only the best in this race, that's his peak stride length, but the best at the meeting. The longest stride at the meeting for a horse who is destined for middle distances, you'd have thought, with a big, long, raking stride like that. His dam won the Albany at Royal Ascot, but there is loads of stamina in the pedigree. She's by Dabberism, and you'd have thought that he will stay 1.5 miles next season. He looked a little bit clueless out in front, even though this was a big step up on what he did on debut. He's run on strongly enough after Ryan had saved gas through the 3rd and 4th furlong with that 11.07 and 12 seconds for a finishing speed percentage of 107.93. The par is 104.41. So he was over par because Ryan saved energy for a fast finish, but he didn't finish as fast as his two nearest rivals, did he? This neatly shows you that. Isaac Newton, 11.82, rated as very fast against par. Action, 11.82. Very fast against par, where he could only just run a fast furlong. Not bad at all, 12 seconds. It backed up his 11.07. I think he's a really nice horse for the future with that big, long, raking stride that he's got. A stayer of the future for the Aidan O'Brien team. See him as a Derby horse more than anything else going forward. And the 2nd and 3rd are surefire winners, Isaac Newton and Action, when we see them again. But this is yet another really nice 2-year-old for Aidan O'Brien. Well, this look back at the Curragh on Saturday focuses on Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore. No surprises there. Let's go to the Gain Railway Stakes that was won by True Love and see how she achieved that and see what the data tells us about this contest. She came from 4, Puerto Rico came from 1, Power Blue was 3rd from 2, and Learn to Discover, the other horse in the race, was last from stall number 3. Look how well she breaks from the stall. She's keen. She wants to get on with it. 2.49 seconds to 20 miles an hour. She's fastest out of the stalls and fastest to 20 miles an hour. But Ryan Moore, happy to take a sit on this filly, who'd been impressive when winning at Royal Ascot, of course, and the Queen Mary. And here, she just gets a toe off Puerto Rico and Power Blue through steady enough early fractions. The front two might be taking each other on, but it wasn't a furious gallop. 13.86, 11.87, 11.75 over this 6 furlong trip. So the first 3 furlongs were steady enough, and it's going to turn into a sprint. And True Love is way too good for her rivals here. Angled to the outside by Ryan Moore. It's all so straightforward for her. And now she cruises up and quickens. 11.14 to get her in contention. Then that 10.78 to take her clear. Rated as very fast against the Race IQ par. And she backs it up. She goes 11.77. Again, very fast against the Race IQ par. So she's quickened after 3 furlongs and got 11.14, 10.78, 11.77. And that was way too good for her rivals. She's drawn 5 lengths clear officially of them in the closing stages for a win time of 1:13.39. It's over half a second above the Race IQ par. And that's because of the steady first 3 furlongs. Puerto Rico and Power Blue, you'd have thought off those steady fractions would have finished off a bit stronger than they did. Well, they finished okay, but this filly was just way too good. The big question for her is, she's flashed loads of speed here as she did at Royal Ascot. Will she get further? She's by no name never. There's a chance she'd stay further, but this showed her blistering speed to really good effect. And one wonders whether she'd stay a mile. It might be something that they conjure with going forward with her, because they'd want her to be a Guineas filly, you would have thought. But at this stage of her career, the thing that stands out when you look at the data is her raw speed. And every metric that you look at, she comes out top. First to 20 miles an hour, 2.49 seconds. Fastest speed in the race at 41.78 miles an hour. The fastest furlong in the race, 10.78. And 108.47, the fastest 2 furlong finish in the race. Totally dominant on the metrics from True Love, who was a real standout at Royal Ascot in the parade ring. Lots of people commented on just how well she looked, how big and strong she looked. You can see it there as she walks back into the winner's enclosure. The question now for Connections is whether a step up in trip is something that they want to explore. But boy, if they stay at 6 furlongs, she's going to be very hard to beat against the boys or the girls. Okay, big race of the weekend time. Let's have a look at the Irish Oaks and see how this has run and how it was won by Minnie Hawk, who is now a dual Oaks winner after her success over Whirl at Epsom. This was a weak race. She went off long odds on. You might think visually, to your eye and to everyone else's eye, that she made hard work of this. That's because of how the race was run. There she is from stall 1, briefly in front. We might take the long way from 3. The horse who finished second, and Island Hopping was third from 7. Second fastest to 20 miles an hour at 2.59 seconds. She went to the front, but thereafter she's just able to sit in and take a lead in the early part of what was quite a steadily run contest. Island Hopping making the running for her out in front. Now look at the finishing speed percentage quickly, 111.72 compared to a par here over 1.5 miles of 105.37. That's telling us this is a very fast finish, this race. So we have to ask, why is it a fast finish? It's because they've saved energy. Now, whilst they're strung out, they are not going very fast. Minnie Hawk, through the 4th furlong, a slow 13.09 seconds. Now, although Island Hopping is making the running for her, this is not quick. The 5th furlong, 13.29. Again, slow. And then they'll go a 13.6 after that. So it is not a strong gallop. There's nowhere near as strong as the Oaks at Epsom, where Whirl made it a bit of a test, and Minnie Hawk and Whirl were able to draw clear of the field in the home straight. So this is boiling up, courtesy of the early fractions, into a sprint. Those fractions I mentioned there of 13.29 and 13.6, Minnie Hawk's backed them up with a 13.49, a 13.07, and then a 12.36. Things did not get spicy until they'd gone 9 furlongs in this race. And then the dash for the cash began, and it was a fast finish for the Curragh. This is quite a stiff test of stamina over 1.5 miles, but this race was not a stamina test. This was a test of speed at the trip. It became a bit of a sprint. Minnie Hawk not suited, in my opinion, to a race run like this. She wanted a stronger gallop. She gets 1.5 miles really well. Nonetheless, she gets away with it, going 11.64 from the 3 to the 2, so she's quickened up from all of those 13-second and 12-second furlongs to an 11.64, then to the front with a 10.9. That's from the 2 to the 1, rated very fast against the Race IQ par, and then an 11.84. She's doing that now from the 1 to the winning line, and that's rated as very fast as well. Quite simply, the Irish Oaks turned into a 3-furlong dash that she was able to win, beating We Might Take the Long Way Home, who sat in second place throughout the race. Essentially, she just sprinted past that horse, and that was it. That was all she had to do. Here we go, the 3 to the 2, 11.64. Now she goes, Ryan asks her, this is her fastest furlong she's doing now to get to the 1 of 10.9. If you look at the final furlongs that she fired here, 111.72, her finishing speed percentage, courtesy of 34.38 final 3 furlongs. She's got the job done. I don't think she does a right lot when she's in front. That was the case at Chester, possibly at Epsom as well. But surely she's going to be a better filly when she gets a better gallop to go at. This was just too pedestrian for her. They went way too steady. The benefit of that is she's not had a hard race. She's had to sprint for 3 furlongs and then go and collect the prize. So there's going to be a lot more to come from her, I think, down the line. The Arc might be something under consideration for her, where she's likely to get a strong gallop and she'll get the filly's allowance and she'll handle a bit of cut in the ground. Easier ground that she got at Epsom was no problem whatsoever. Here's her data. Look at her break speed. It wasn't too bad, 2.59 seconds to 20 miles an hour. She hit 40.65 miles an hour. So did the runner-up, who's run an absolute blinder. That 1 furlong that she did of 10.9 was the significant part of the race. The 2 to the 1 when she got to the front, and she sustained her speed with the runner-up, unable to get under 12 seconds for the final furlong, whereas Minnie Hawk sustained that speed under 12 for the last furlong and kept on rolling. Finishing speed percentages, look at them. For a mile and a half at the Curragh, they're all well over 100. They're all over par, and that tells you what you need to know about just how steadily this Juddmonte Irish Oaks was run. Not run to suit her, but it's a sign of a good filly, isn't it? All colt when they can overcome the run of the race and still manage to win. And a big plus that she did not have a hard time there. And another race in the bag for those two, Aidan O'Brien and the brilliant Ryan Moore. That concludes proceedings for the verdict this week. I hope you've enjoyed looking back at those 6 races with me. Scoville, mightily impressive at Newmarket, and 3 really good performances at the Curragh as well. I hope you enjoyed looking at it and looking at the data as well, and I will be back with you next week. See you then.
The verdict with World Pool.